What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, folks. Okay, it is fully on now. Now, we've been discussing this over the past several days. We've got the administrative civil war going on in this country right now, and it's getting heated, folks. It is getting turned up to 11. We've got these activist judges out here trying to rule outside of their jurisdiction where they have no business ruling. They're, for God's sakes, they're trying to rule on foreign policy matters. Judges. Yeah, judges. Check this out. Now, I will give a warning, as I always do. This is coming from the Daily Wire. They are listed as a right-wing publication, so there you go. But once again, what I find funny about this news article is the title. I went through Ground News to get this, right? And it's just a news aggregator, which they don't sponsor this channel, but I wish they would. That would be great. But anyway, so I saw a title, and I'm like, I clicked on it. I forget what it was right off the top of my head. Well, hang on. I'll just look it up because I was just there. Trump calls for a stop to nationwide injunctions amid court setbacks. Okay, that's what it was. Click on it, right? And it brings me to this, MSNBC. As a matter of fact, I'll save that right now so I can add it to the video as I'm doing it. I'm doing this live, I guess you could say. The Trump administration keeps losing in court. It could fix that by not breaking the law. And I'm like, that kind of doesn't make any sense as to what the other headline was. So I kind of scanned through, and you got the Daily Kos right here. And yeah, they're just... Donald does a 4-poster rant at Judge Boasberg. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and save that too, because the Daily Kos always delivers on leftist insanity, y'all. But then I got to the Daily Wire, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Jordan plans hearings on flood of judges' injunctions against Trump agenda. And I'm like, that's like way different. After I read it, I'm like, this is a way different story. So let's get into this right quick. Check this out, y'all. The House Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing on the slew of federal judges who have issued rulings that halted elements of President Donald Trump's second-term agenda, Chairman Jim Jordan said on Wednesday. Jordan made the announcements during an interview with CNN's Casey Hunt after James Boasberg, an Obama-appointed judge, blocked Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act to deport violent criminal illegal migrants or criminal aliens. Why don't you just put criminal aliens? Deport violent criminal aliens. Like, hey, it is what it is. It's the Daily Wire, so they're not the most conservative of right-wing publications, if you will. But I do have that clip for you guys, so.
This judge has no right to ask those questions. You have one unelected federal judge trying to control foreign policies, trying to control the Alien Enemies Act, which they have no business presiding over.
The president is going a step further, writing on Truth Social, stop nationwide injunctions now before it is too late. If Justice Roberts and the United States Supreme Court do not fix this toxic and unprecedented situation immediately, our country is in very serious trouble.
Sorry, wrong clip.
So just want to start with a simple question. Do you believe, as President Trump does, that Judge Boasberg should be impeached?
Well, normally, as Chief Justice Roberts has pointed out, the remedy for bad decisions is the appellate court. But it seems to me you may have something a little different here. This judge's decision was so ridiculous, it seems to be political. And then when you add to it the history of Judge Boasberg, his work with the FISA court, back in the whole Trump-Russia baloney, that whole, fake collusion thing that they talked about, the Democrats talked about forever. And then, of course, his sentencing of Kevin Kleinsmith, the guy who lied to the FISA court, altered a document back during that same time frame. I think you might have here a judge who's acting in a political fashion. That is a different question. And so for us Republicans, and I think folks on the Judiciary Committee, all options are still on the table. We're going to do some research. We're going to dig into this, and we're going to find out. And then I think when you really step back, Casey, and look at how stupid the decision was by this judge. I mean, he basically said, wait, not basically, he did say, turn the plane around, bring back gang members, hardened criminals who've done all kinds of bad things, who are here illegally, turn the plane around and bring those bad guys back to the country. I think just on its face, this is ridiculous. And so it sure looks like the judge is acting in a political fashion.
I completely understand the argument that people are making about whether the planes whether these people should have been deported or not. I want to get a little bit more clarity on what you're saying. What specifically has Judge Boasberg done that you believe is an impeachable offense under the constitutional description of high crimes and misdemeanors?
So I'm going to interject right quick. See, this is the game that these people play. Oh, what law has he broken? Oh, well, yeah, there we go. We've got an activist judge trying to rule outside of his authority. He's trying to pretty much equate himself with the president of the United States. This guy has no authority over foreign policy. Donald Trump can invoke the Enemies Aliens Act, or whatever the hell it's called. I always forget what it's called. The Alien and Sedition Act, something like that. We went over it the other day. But, he can invoke these things, and there is zero judicial review for deportations under that act. These people are violent criminals. They've been labeled a terrorist organization, so he most certainly has the right. This judge, just for the sake of obstruction, says turn the planes around, bring these violent criminals back to the United States so they can have their due process. That's just absurd on its face. That's what law he's broken, right? It might not be a law broken, but you just don't have the authority to make that ruling, my guy. Like, he just doesn't. But let's keep going.
All I'm saying is if you're acting in a political fashion and not just, following the law, ruling on the law, and I would argue that, frankly, just his ruling in and of itself, remember, the Constitution is pretty clear. Article 2, Section 1, very first sentence says, power in the executive branch shall be vested in a president of the United States. The president has the authority here. Second, he followed the statute.
Isn't there a major body of law that shows that he would probably be likely to win?
Predatory incursion, and that he followed the statute. And then third, the president told the country he was going to do this. It's not like it's a surprise to anyone, let alone this judge. He campaigned on it and said he was going to do it. So I think when you put all that together, that's what makes this decision look so political on the part of Judge Boasberg.
But Mr. Chairman, and we actually showed how many times the president said exactly that he would use this law when he was on the campaign trail. We showed our viewers some of that yesterday. So I do take that point. But given all these arguments, if you think that this is, and there is an enormous body of law out there, some of it built during the Bush administration, which I know, you were here in Washington during a lot of this, that suggests that the president actually might win this case on the merits in the longer term under the normal process. So if you're the White House, why not put that appeal through? Why not use the process that's available to you right then?
See, and what she does right here is that is leading the audience to believe that Donald Trump just isn't appealing that decision whatsoever, right? But it has nothing to do with that. Of course he's appealing that decision. The judge doesn't have the authority to make that ruling in the first place. That's what these people aren't seeming to get. Like, these people, these judges are acting like the president does not have any authority whatsoever. That everything he does, he has to go through the courts to do. That is BS. That is absolute BS. As a matter of fact, I looked into it. Over President Biden's entire tenure as president, he had 14 injunctions put in on him. As a matter of fact, he violated several of those, as we know. But 14 over 4 years. Donald Trump has already had 16 just on this second term. 16 injunctions. They are questioning, stopping him from every single action he's taken. He has a mandate from the population. These people are obstructing for the sake of obstruction. They don't even know why they're obstructing. They don't realize what they're doing. They are destroying the Democratic Party is what they're doing, because we can see clearly that all of these activist judges are Democrats. As a matter of fact, that's easy to go look up their party affiliation. It's really easy to go look all this stuff up. Democrats are destroying themselves from the inside out, and it hasn't stopped. You figure the smacking they took in the last election, they would have learned their lesson. They would have taken it back, said, hey, hang on, we got to do something. We need to learn from these mistakes. What did we do so wrong? Obviously, they put up a freaking pineapple that fell out of a tree. as a presidential candidate, that was a mistake right there. But it wasn't just that, because the Democrats could absolutely just put up anybody they wanted to, right? They could put anybody they wanted to put up, and it wouldn't have made a single lick of difference, because Democrats vote blue no matter who. Independents, Republicans, they vote for who's the good president. There was a lot of Republicans voted for Obama. As a matter of fact, most independents voted for Obama. A lot of people voted for Obama, right? But it's just the cult-like adherence to these social norms that the Democrats, they always show. They seem to be in a cult. And it's just getting so absurd that, you know, they're actually telling Donald Trump to turn the plane around that is carrying terrorists, essentially. Bring them back to this country. They just wanted a better life, for crying out loud. But let's keep going. We're going to hold hearings on this entire issue, the 15 injunctions that we have been done in an 8-week time frame. Yeah, that was worded weird. Judge Boasberg's decision hearing from experts talk about this whole kind of body of law, this whole situation, he said. Over the past few weeks, some House Republicans have unveiled articles of impeachment against Boasberg and other judges they feel are delivering rulings that are unfavorable to the Trump administration out of political animus. They see, once again, and the Daily Wire is supposed to be conservative here. No, that's not the reason. It's because these judges are ruling outside of their jurisdiction. It has nothing to do with politics. As a matter of fact, they're introducing the articles of impeachment because these judges are ruling based on politics, not based in law. Because if it was based in law, all of this would be getting overturned. These judges would laugh the Democrats right out of the courtroom on most of this stuff, because Donald Trump, for the most part, is following the law. Some of it, sure, challenge some of it, like the birthright citizenship. Yeah, that needs to go to the Supreme Court. That's going to be challenged just because of a previous precedent. I get that. But, you know, on deportations, I'm sorry, there should not be any injunction on a deportation. That is absurd on its face. Like, there's a lot of Trump actions that's just, it's absurd for them to be obstructing him for the reasons that they're obstructing him. Trump himself took aim at Boasberg in a post on Truth Social on Tuesday, calling him a troublemaker and agitator who, like many of the crooked judges, yeah, we already went over that. Jordan would not go as far as to reveal whether he would hold impeachment hearings, but the chairman did say, we're not ruling anything out. He also stressed that it is important for us to gather information, get input on the issue. The House and Senate are currently led by Republicans, though by slim margins. While a simple majority to impeach could be achieved along party lines in the House, a bipartisan group of 67 senators would be needed for removal. As a matter of fact, that is right, and they will never get that because, once again, Democrats, they stick together, if anything. You know, members of the cult always stay in the cult. On Tuesday, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts issued a rare statement pushing back on the GOP push, declaring the normal appellate review process for the purpose of political. Yeah, we already went over that. While Jordan, yeah, that was a social media post as well. Yeah, you bring these things through appellate court, which Donald Trump is doing. Once again, they're taking that whole statement, these judges should be impeached, way too far, as they do with everything Donald Trump says. But I'm just laughing it all up. Me. I find it funny. While Jordan acknowledged that he expects the White House to proceed with the appellate process, he emphasized that Boasberg's history with Russiagate and the pace of the injunctions has become a concern for Republicans. Jordan also touted a bill the Judiciary Committee recently advanced that seeks to restrain the number of injunctions being levied by federal judges, and said there may be another legislative remedy that lawmakers want to examine too. Yeah, this is just all getting outright insane. Like, this just is not the process by which the federal court checks the executive branch, right? That's not how this is supposed to be. You cannot just say the president has no authority to do anything whatsoever. Once again, they are pretending using the impetus of, oh, this is checks and balances working, this is our democracy working, while also telling you there's a constitutional crisis going on, and these people are the ones creating the constitutional crisis, because everything Donald Trump is doing, with the exception of one or two things that, sure, they need to be litigated, but everything Donald Trump is doing is on the up and up. It's all under federal law. Like, do we really think that Donald Trump has these teams of lawyers, knowing that there's all these activist judges out there, there's all these people that want to obstruct him? Do we really think that he's going to make any executive orders that fall outside of jurisprudence, essentially? That he's going to do something illegal, by the way? I know if you have a negative opinion of Donald Trump, you might be like, well, of course he would. He's an authoritarian dictator. But come on, let's be real for a second. Back up, sit down. Hold your panties for a second. Pick up your purse. Let's think about this for a second. With all of the obstruction out there against Donald Trump, with all the people that dislike Donald Trump, all of the activist judges, do we really think that Donald Trump in his brain is like, yes, this is illegal, so I'm just going to do it, thinking that nobody's going to try to stop him? Let's use our brains and say, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Everything he's going to do is going to be by the book, for crying out loud, because he wants it to go through. He wants these judges to have absolutely no pathway to rule against him, for crying out loud. It just makes no sense whatsoever. But, this is your democracy at work, y'all. That is exactly what is going on. And I think democracy currently is being weaponized by Democrats to bludgeon Donald Trump over the head with, to try to stop him, slow him down by any means necessary. All because I believe they fear the far left. Just like most people fear the far left. Because we know for a fact the far left is far more violent than any other group in this country. We saw that in 2020. We're seeing that right now. Like, it's just plain clear as day. The far left has lost their minds. These people just want to destroy everything. And they're doing a pretty good job of kicking that door in to destroy everything. But Donald Trump is pushing back. These people, they're going to get a rude awakening. I already saw a headline earlier where Pam Bondi is going after at least 3 individuals so far they've caught with all this Tesla terrorism that's going on, which is insane, y'all. It's just getting outright insane. I get the logic of the Tesla dealership terrorism. I get that, kind of. I don't agree with it, of course. It's ridiculous, but I can see where their head might be, where it's kind of logical. You're just trying to damage Elon Musk by any means necessary, so I can see that one. But the fact that they're going after people that, just regular people that own Teslas, just if you have a Tesla, right, and people are scared, they're trading in their Teslas, they're getting rid of their Teslas, and blah, 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 because they're scared of the far left. That is absurd. Is that a country that you wish to live in? Like, even you far leftists out there, if you're listening to this video, is that a country that you wish to live in? Where, in case you step out of line one day, maybe you bought a Tesla. Oh, now you're a bad guy. Now you're just like me. You're on the far right, even though you're really not. You're still a leftist. But because you have a Tesla, now you're the enemy to these people. That's insane. That is not a world we want to live in. That is not a world that anybody wants to live in, where from day to day, the ideology just shifts totally. Right? Like, because I thought that the far left, that these are the climate zealots. These are the people that want you to buy an electric vehicle. Tesla, they revolutionized electric vehicles, for crying out loud. Think about that for a second. They absolutely did. All these other car companies, right? Because Elon Musk decided to open source his IP on the electric vehicles, the battery technology. And now all the other car companies are copying his battery technology, as a matter of fact. Yeah, go look it up. They're copying it. So now they're making electric vehicles as well. That's how we saw the electric vehicle explosion of, what was that, maybe just 10 or so years ago when Tesla came out or started getting real popular. That is. It's just getting insane out there. So this it just changes from day to day. You never know when you're going to find yourself on the other side of that line. You're going to find yourself at the wrong end of a Molotov cocktail, and I'm going to be here like, yep, I told y'all, this is not the country that we want to live in, folks. We've got to change the culture. We've got to shame these people into oblivion. We've got to push back. We've got to stay vigilant. Don't just go hide in a corner. Get out there and speak your mind, y'all. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind, everything that's going on. It's absolute war, administratively speaking, right? Administratively speaking, it is a civil war that is going on. We've got the executive branch, the judiciary, and the legislative branch is chiming in, but currently we hold control of both the executive and the legislative. Of course, I say we. Once again, I'm not a registered Republican, but you could call me a Republican. It wouldn't bother me. But once again, y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Join the channel. I have memberships now in case you didn't know. You can join the channel. You get videos and all kinds of stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll give you my phone number if you join the channel, and we could have a conversation. You can shoot me a text, video chat, do whatever. It don't matter. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.